and we know this is what we're meant to do. So we wake up, put our feet on the floor, go and conquer the day like a warrior, like warriors. 'Cause that's what a tribe does. We got your back so you can relax and focus on all the important stuff, like getting your business done. This is our tribe. We look out for each other. That's right, that's right. This is our tribe. We help each other grow in business and life. That's right, that's right. No need to panic anymore. We got lots of support and an army of warriors by our side. We fight the good fight when we unite. We fight the good fight when we unite. 'Cause that's what a tribe does. We got your back so you can relax and focus on all the important stuff, like getting your business done. This is our tribe. We look out for each other. That's right, that's right. This is our tribe. We help each other grow in business and life. That's right.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sondra, and I am the host of the Coffee Chat Show, brought to you by Explore ProTech. Let me pronunciate words today. This is going to be fun. I have the honor and privilege to talk to these amazing gentlemen from all over the world, and we talk about all things business. And this month we've been focusing on building your team and your leadership and so on and so forth. So today we have one of our amazing leadership coaches, Mr. Levy, who is going to talk to us today about how to create leadership skills in your business to be successful. How are you today, Mr. Levy?
Good, thank you, Sondra, and nice to be here. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to something that I'm like seriously passionate about, and I'll tell you why. But I can't talk too long because I've only got 5 minutes, which is a short time for Stephen Levy. So yeah, it's mainly because I recognize just through my whole journey and so on, the influence and impact that leadership has on those they're leading. And that's both personally and professionally. So I think it's something very much needed in the marketplace, you know. So I'm going to just talk you through something. I'll just put something together. And the reason I did that is so because I know you recorded, and I know that there's a lot of the igniters on watching on YouTube. And I was asked the other day about in the breakout room on Saturday to talk about leadership, and I said we haven't got time, as they'd probably be there till next Sunday. So yeah, so it's just so they can record, and they're just a few things that hopefully they can watch the recording and they can see and don't have to kind of think and remember it. So I'm going to share a slide if that's okay with you. Let me just share quickly. Can you see the slide? Okay. So I think first of all, as I said, you know, I think we do live in a world where I think the word leadership is used quite freely, and we have an abundance of managers, but there's a scarcity of leaders. I think the shift is happening. I can happily say that, and I really am happy to say that just having the privilege of working with people globally. So I get a very broad perspective of an objective overview of of what leadership looks like. So there's no one definition. So actually tonight, what I wanted to do, because you specifically spoke about the skills of leadership, and there are various skills. So I want to hopefully lay the foundation for a discussion about the skills of leadership, as opposed to me just speaking about the skills of leadership. So I think the first thing is that leaders, because of the world we live in, they need to one of the things they need to be able to deal with is change. I'm not saying that they have to embrace it, or no, they do have to embrace it. I'm not saying they have to be non-resistant to it, because I think everybody's resistant to change in some form or another. People just embrace it quicker than others. But I think when you're in a leadership position, we need to accept that change is happening, and how do we lead and deal with change? And that's really important. So you can call it a skill, but I think it's also very much an attitude or a mindset of leadership to say it is what it is, and how do we adapt to change? So if they can create that culture in their business amongst those that they're leading, to just embrace change, it'll make the journey a lot easier. It doesn't make it easy. It makes it easier. Going through change is not easy at all. So how do they lead change? And they need to create a mindset where they need to understand through this change, what got you here will not necessarily get you there. And I hope that this slide, if you can see it, because there is absolutely no ways today that we can still be working with a fax machine and hope that we're going to survive in business. So that's going really from the extreme. And what's happening now is that leadership need to deal with change a lot more often. So change is not new to us. I think the intensity of change that we're dealing with and that leadership is dealing with it's placing huge demands on leadership. So, I don't know if anybody wants to have a go, and even on your YouTubers, they can type in or something, what do you think the 7 most expensive words are in business? Okay. If anybody's typed, you can tell me, Sondra. But otherwise, I'm just going to share it purely because of time.
Could you say that again, Steve? Your question?
What are the 7 most expensive words in business? If you saw that slide, you can't answer it. That's cheating. Sounds like
Go
a
ahead.
teacher.
Go ahead, Mr. Levy.
Okay. Okay. That can cost you in business. We've always done it this way. Okay. There are basics that we carry through, and I even see it in leadership. There are books that were written by guys, Peter Drucker is one of them that come to mind, way back and in the 1900s, and some of those basic leadership principles still stand. But there's so many theories on leadership, and there's so many skills that are spoken about in leadership, that for me, the foundation of it is just embrace change, and also but this is the way we've always done. We need to be open to new ideas and fresh ideas. So the toughest position in any organization, so I'm not talking about a title or anything, the toughest position in any organization and its most competitive advantage is what? It's just something called leadership. Okay, and the reason I say that, not glibly, is because it's the title for a position that someone's prepared to sign up for. The position itself is no more or less important than the person's position who sweeps the floor. Now, I'm sure when this goes public, I could be shot down, imprisoned, or something like that, but that's cool, because I'll explain that the guy that sweeps the floor, if he does not perform in his position, it impacts the team. The leader, if he does not perform, or she, in their position, they impact the team. So they both have an impact on the team's performance. So there's no difference in the importance of the position. The differentiator lies in the responsibility that the one carries and the other one doesn't. Or he carries the difference in responsibility that they carry and the level of responsibility. And often this is not explained to leaders when they want to promote somebody, and they do it with good intention because you promote their top performers and it's like acknowledgement of their performance. So I say this with the utmost respect, is that they get promoted into leadership positions, and of course with that comes a pay reward as well. So it's done with great intention, but often the discussion about what the responsibilities are that they're taking on is not had. And then there's certain leadership skills, we're speaking about that they haven't been trained in, because, that leaders are born and not made is a myth. If you want to lead, you can be taught and trained to be a very good leader. But the key is there, do you want to? And do you understand what it takes to be a leader? Okay. And then the third thing is, are you prepared to do what it takes to be a leader? So that's the one thing. And we need to understand that also today, leadership is not a solo journey. And the world is just moving at too fast a pace. They don't have the luxury of time to take a week to make decisions. And, we've got to respond quickly to the marketplace. And so unless leaders, and you were talking about it earlier, Sondra, unless leaders are going to include their team and see themselves as team members first and then a leader second, it's also going to be very difficult for them to form cohesive or high-performing teams. So leadership is a team sport. But we mustn't talk about it. We need to actually live it. So I just have, through my own journey, and it's really, I'm coming to the end of it now, is not my journey, this part of my talk, is I've learned very quickly that actually through somebody, one of my staff that worked for me, taught me this, inspired me to do this quote. And this quote I typed into Google and it doesn't exist. Yes, there are, if you type in that exact quote, you won't find it. You will find articles on leadership's responsibility and so on, but you won't find that quote, which I must say I'm quite happy about. But I think we need to ask ourselves the question, why can't we find this quote? And let me explain it to you, because leadership's a responsibility to those that lead, not for them. I learned very quickly that my role as a leader was to support my people that were working in my business, to support them in any which way, through systems, through moral support, through whatever they needed to operate at their best. That was my responsibility to them. Their responsibility was to take that resource and do what they do best. And as soon as I became responsible for them, it's a great signal to leaders. There's only two things that can happen. One is you micromanaging them, which I did. And the other thing was, or they're not taking responsibility for what they're doing. It's the only way you can be responsible for them. But we shouldn't be. We shouldn't be micromanaging them, and we shouldn't be doing their work for them. That's why we hired them, to do the work. So it's a two-way street. That's why it's a team sport. And it's guided by two simple rules. The first rule is it starts with you as the leader, so you cannot get away from that. It's part of the responsibility. If I'm working for Lesetja and he's working, and I always use this, a public company where they got shareholders, and the shareholders are looking for returns, and they come to Lesetja and they say, listen, you haven't hit your targets this year, or it's not going well. And Lesetja says, yeah, but you know what, Stephen's not really performing. First of all, they don't know who Stephen is. Secondly, they don't care who Stephen is. Okay. And then third, and they say, what you doing about it? And if he's done nothing, then they're going to be saying, well, maybe we should be chatting to you, not Stephen. So it starts with you as a leader. That's your responsibility. But the day it will go south is when you make it about you, because it's not about you. It's about your team, and it's about the business, and it's about this thing that's bigger than everybody. And there was a wonderful quote by Mr. Sam Walton. He said that there's one person that can fire everybody in the company, from the CEO right down to the person that sweeps the floor. And they don't have to have a conversation with them. They don't even have to warn them that they're going to fire them. And they don't have to take them to CCMA, and they don't have to do any of that stuff. That person's called the client. All they have to do is go and buy somewhere else. So if leadership makes it about themselves, it's going to be a recipe for disaster. And you only have to look not only in business, you can just look in the world today. And I'm not getting into political chat. It is what it is. If you look at the world where leaders have made it about them, I don't need to tell you, we all watch the news. So if you come to a skill, what is the one skill besides showing up as yourself as a leader? Because there are a lot of leadership styles, but the best leadership style is your own, who you are. And then how you lead those people in your team will be determined by how they show up. So some people do need to be managed. Okay, hopefully they're less than they're in the minority and not the majority in your team. But that's a whole discussion. But one of the key skills I found with leaders, which leads into something that is so prominent in business, okay, is the ability to listen. And there's that old famous saying, if you don't listen, you're going to surround yourself with people who don't speak. And that's true, and I've experienced it, and I've seen it. I've actually seen it in front of my eyes. And again, not intentionally, so I'm not knocking these people. We just do it unintentionally, but we have to be more aware of how we're showing up as a leader. Because listening is the art of communication, and communication is key in any business. Okay? And it's so important. We often assume we're communicating clearly, but we're not really. So I think, that's just the basis of leadership. And I think, I would love to open the floor to speak about skills. I'm sure everybody has different views on leadership. There's no one theory on leadership. There's no one definition on leadership. I did a talk to 54 business people, and I'm not lying to you. I asked them to please give their interpretation of leadership. There was not one that was the same. They had common threads through them, but there was not one that was the same. And none of them were wrong. All I asked them is, are you being the leader that you've just shown us? That's important. Yeah, so it is a tough journey. It's a simple journey. It's not an easy one, but it's an extremely rewarding one. But it does take intentional commitment. And that's it. And I hope that will inspire some discussion from all these wise people sitting in this room and those watching on YouTube.
Thank you so much, Mr. Levy. As always, very educational. And yes, lots and lots of people have spoken on the live YouTube show. And forgive me, students, I struggle with names. That's why a lot of people get short names. This one was Buyoi.
Boyu.
Said 100. Yeah, 100% leadership is about supporting the team, ensuring that they have everything they need to succeed. Yes. I think that's a very good statement. Dapka said listening as well as effective communication is what makes one leader different to the next. Mine was, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you listen twice as much as you speak. So, and as a mom, that can be hard sometimes to make sure I'm listening, because you might not exactly agree with what is coming out of somebody's mouth. I still have a teenager in my home. So it's
Yeah.
not always easy. Like you said, it's not always easy, but it can be very simple. So, and I know as I was starting to become a business owner, I didn't know if I wanted to be a business owner. I thought I wanted to be a support person in business to somebody else. And I didn't want to own my own business because I couldn't lead, Like I can support all day long. I've done that my whole entire life, caretaking since the age of 4, yada, yada, yada. So I've supported my whole entire life, and that is my personality style. So yeah, it was scary to be a leader as a business owner. So I can honestly say that was something I had to learn because it was not something that was natural.
Well,
So
I take my hat off to you that why didn't you see yourself as a mom? You were a leader. I think some of the best leaders are mothers because
uh,
I think it's probably more, I'd, having seen my wife bring my kids up, okay, and I say, I mean, I was involved with them, but I was working. But having seen, I would still go back to work any day. And I say that in front of them. I do love them, but we don't always like our kids, but I always love them. And
very true.
no, but I must tell you, I wouldn't swap that for anything. It's tough. So
Yeah.
you are a good leader.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been an interesting week this last week due to life-changing events in our lives. And it's different being the mom of the son of the new baby versus the mom of the daughter.
Yeah.
But super grateful. She's doing well. She came 5 weeks early, but she made a great entrance. And yeah, it's definitely been a different type of leadership to be cohesive with. I don't know, as a mom of the daughter, it's been a different journey. But yeah, I've been very grateful and help coordinating care for not only them but for the baby and so on and so forth. So yes, a mom is definitely a leader. For sure.
Sure, yeah.
All right, let's bring other people in. Mr. Peter.
Mr. Levy, inspiring as always. I think I'll be the first person to admit that in my lifetime, I have been extremely rebellious. You always get people that are in authority, and the moment there is somebody in authority, I'm like, you are not in authority over me. I will not do what you tell me. It's how teenagers grow up. It's how we create our independence. It's how we become adults. But the one thing that always rang true to me is that I would listen to somebody if they lived what they said. So if somebody was true to who they were and what they spoke is what they did, I would find that inspiring enough to go, well, this is actually somebody worth listening to. And I think you alluded to this fact, maybe in a different way, but you alluded to this fact that, in the role of leadership, if you are the type of leader that is learning to be a leader, but you're doing it by the book, but it's not what you do. It's just what you say to lead a team. That can be picked up by your team very quickly. You say this, but you do that. And that just leads to disaster. So I think as a leader, if you can actually live what you preach, this is how you believe leadership to be, this is how you implement leadership, and this is how you live up to that expectation of what the people that are being led by you need from you. I think that's very important because it creates the space of respect where I will trust this person because what they're asking me to do doesn't come from a place of they're just telling me because they're my leader. They're leading me and I can respect them because they live by what they preach. So I think that's extremely, extremely important. And Mr. Levy, something I actually mentioned to somebody I was in a meeting with the other day. I was actually doing an introduction. I was explaining who you are to them because I was going to be making an introduction. And I said to this person, the one thing that gets me is that, I mean, you have clients around the world. Yet you will step into a classroom full of students and treat them with exactly the same rapport and respect that you would treat your biggest client. And that to me shows that you actually, what you preach is what you actually live. So, sir, I will take my hat off to you, and I think that the students in the background, jump onto YouTube and drop comments of what you think. But I think that sets the tone. It definitely sets the tone. So, for people that are out there that are perhaps watching this, I think it's all well and good for somebody to stand up in a space live and go, "This is what I believe." But when there are multiple people around that person that go, that this person lives out what they believe, therefore they have the right to teach it. I think that to me, I think sets the tone for how do we progress going forward. So absolutely love it. I'm going to settle down and hand back over to Sondra.
I love it. I love it, Peter. And yes, it definitely has been brought up in the YouTube chat that Mr. Levy does live what he says. So for sure, you'll have to catch all the comments later, Mr. Levy. Can I say I'm a proud host that Mr. Hendrick raises his hand now without being prompted or pushed on a consistent basis. So I am very proud of you, Mr. Hendrick. I was gonna say a mom, but I am the mom of the show. So the show's my baby, but I'm very proud of you. Hey, Mr.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I do have my one-on-one sessions with Mr. Levy, so I get a lot of coaching. So I think you cannot stay shy forever. So with the whole team, thank you for bringing me up to the stage where I'm able to just raise my hand. So to also add my views on what Mr. Levy said, I'll also just start with a quote, which says, "When you talk, you are only repeating what you know, but when you listen, you always learn something new." So with that being said, I think for me, my belief around leadership or leadership style has to be first, empathy. And then secondly, never lead blindly. With that, I'll give an example. Normally, when we have new people coming into the team, or we have our meetings where we need to remember what we are supposed to do as a team, I always say to my guys that my responsibility is to make sure that they come to a site and they leave the site safe with no issues and having done a quality job. But their responsibility is to make sure that we work as a team to achieve the common goal. So I can take all the pressure from your higher management, our clients, and everyone else to shield my team. But at the end of the day, it's up to them to lead or to travel this journey with me. Be able to make their own mistakes if needs be, knowing very well that I'll never leave them and say, no, it's not my fault. It was one of my guys who made that mistake. So it's very important that we do not lead blindly. We let people know what the end goal is or what we want to achieve is, so that they can be able to have valuable inputs and help us in leading the team. That's it from me. Hendrick, your lifting and rigging specialist from Mpumalanga.
I love that. I love that, Hendrick. You start with the end goal in mind, but your team needs to know that. So if your team doesn't know what the end goal is, what are they working towards? Yes, they may have their roles and responsibilities list, but they're more invested when they have, when they know what the goals are and that they can speak up about the goals. Hendrick and I can truly see that with you, that you take input from your team, and honor that and take that into account when they're working on the site. And I know Mr. L is another one of those people that does that too. Come on in, Mr. L.
What do I do? What do I do?
You take in other people's, you take in the team, like their input on how to do things.
No, most certainly. Without a team, you cannot be a leader. So I wanted to start off with just appreciating Mr. Levy's, let me just say, presentation, for the lack of a better word, and really opening up and showing that leadership is not about books. Leadership is not about principles that people write down and they want you to follow. And some of these people just want to sell their books. They say leadership skills, and you find they wrote about themselves. And for me, leadership is different. Leadership is different from me to Mr. Levy, to Peter, to Hendrick, to Sondra, and to Permelia. We can never be the same leader because we are different people. And as Mr. Levy quite rightly put it, you're not born, you're made. It depends who made you a leader, you know. So, and just another thing that I want to bring into the pot is we generally and we take leadership and put it or place it in a workplace or in a workspace or in our business and all that, forgetting that whatever you're doing at home, even on the road, you are leading. I mean, if you're driving and somebody cuts in front of you, you're not swearing at that person or showing whichever finger to those people. You example, because that is wrong. And leadership plays that important role to also correct other people. It's not about showing people where to go, but it's also about correcting and helping to guide people to follow the right path, whether at work, whether at home, whether on the road, whether at school, wherever. Leadership is very, very broad. And that is what Mr. Levy brought out today. Thank you, Mr. Levy, for that. And this is Lesetja Mokou from Litmok, your business development specialist.
Love that, Mr. L. I'm gonna let Permelia come, and then we're gonna take a couple questions from the YouTube show for Mr. Levy. Go ahead. Welcome back, Miss Permelia. I missed you.
Yes, I was missing you all, so I had to come back for at least today. Anyway, well, thank you, Stephen. That was a wonderful presentation, and I do believe what you said is so true. Also wanted to just agree with Lesetja, because I do believe leadership is all part of our life, not just a certain segment of our life. And it's very important for us to step into that as responsible humans in our human way. So a couple of things. I love Simon Sinek and his quotes about leadership. So I just wanted to share a couple that I have. So leadership's not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those that are in your charge. And the other one that I really like is value of leadership is not measured by the work that leaders do. A leader's true value is measured by the work they inspire others to do. That's one of my favorites. So I truly believe that that is definitely something that sometimes we get into the role of leadership. And as Sondra mentioned earlier, you know, I've been a mother for a little over 30 years because my children are now in their 30s, and didn't often think of myself as a leader. But it is very, very true that we are leaders in many different aspects of our life. And once we embrace that and we know that that is our role, it just enhances who we are as people, I believe. So thank you. Permelia Parham with the Healing Institute. We are a online worldwide hub of holistic practitioners. We are out to heal the world.
I love that. I love that. I love that, Permelia. I was talking about you earlier today because I had a coffee chat with somebody that you introduced me to a long time ago. So we were talking about that you were still on your mission and that you've stuck to that. So it's so amazing. Mr. Levy, you ready for some questions? They're okay. We gotta do short answers so we can get through a couple of them. Okay, Mr. Levy. We know you like to answer long.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay, so the first, and forgive me, students, I'm not going to say your names just because for sake of time, we're going to get through this. What are the most critical skills in leadership? That's the first one.
I would say the one that I put up is listening, and communication goes hand in hand with that. And the other one I would put before empathy would be humility. If I can just expand on what Peter said, is leadership has authority, but don't lead from it or because of it. Because you can, but then that's called fear. And that's not sustainable. You might achieve the results, but it's short term. Okay, that's short, sweet answer.
Short and sweet to the point. I think you answered this. What is the best leadership style?
You, being you. Understand who you are and how you show up, and then not only you, but when you understand who you are, you will have a great understanding of who your people are. But I want to extend that. Once you understand who you are, make time to understand the people in your team. Because then you will build a high-performing team. But it takes time, which I often get told I don't have. But we
call
won't
it the zone of genius. Yeah, I call it the zone of genius. Know your zone of genius and know the people around you zone of genius. So then you can capitalize on all of that.
Sure.
To reach your goals. Can the style of leadership negatively impact your team?
Yes, it can. And I think, again, coming back to, all leaders are different. I think Lesetja said that. And there are leaders that are authoritarian leaders. If they attract people who enjoy being led by an authoritarian, then it's not poor leadership. They've created that culture, and the people that they're leading want to be there. They want to be led by those people. I don't know many, but they want to. I haven't experienced it, but they are. It's like saying having a results-driven company. But if you have an authoritarian leader, especially in today's world, okay, and I think there's very few people that want to work underneath an authoritarian leader, then yes, you will have a negative impact on the team. In fact, I'll put something on the group, but they said that a micromanager, okay, or fear-based leader is a person that you pay to drive away good talent. Because they won't stay.
I'm like trying to find the mute button. I was going to say, that was all the questions. Perfect timing, Mr. Peter. Come on in, because that was the last question.
Yeah, I think something that I want to highlight, because I think I've been in both positions. I've been in both of the position of being led and been in the position of having to lead. And I think in order to understand leadership, you need to have experienced both. You can't just poof, you're a leader. You need to understand what the person that's being led goes through while being led. That being said, we highlight the role of a leader, and we're discussing the ins and outs of being a leader and what type of leader are you, and how does it work, and the skills. And But much as there is a yin to a yang, and who was it that said, oh, it was Lesetja, that said you can't be a leader without a team. So as much as there is a role for a leader, there is a role for the people that are being led. And that requires skills too. So, and I think to highlight the importance of that, because if you have a team of people that don't understand their role in being led, then you can't lead them because they just don't understand. And I think it's up to you as a leader to highlight that. And that as much as your role is important, because we do have this mentality, and we all do it, we're all human, climbing the corporate ladder or climbing to the top. And then you get to the top, you're now more important than the person beneath you, or carry more authority than the person beneath you. But we tend to carry that with us, and it really does affect the way that we lead people, because it's kind of like a negative connotation on how we should be leading. But I think if the people that you are leading understand that their role in being led is as important as your role as the leader, then you can be cohesive. That is a space where you can communicate. And when a space like that achieves results, that the praise of those results is not just for the leader. You don't get a team that performs and then the leader gets all the praise. If that's what's happening, then that's imbalanced. That's incorrect. But the praise should be almost flowing downhill from the top to the leader, from the leader to the team, it should be, praise should be flowing around left, right, and center. And I think that, I mean, we could get into the discussion of what skills do people that are being led need to have, and need to acquire, because it's as important. And there's nothing worse than somebody that's and I know we've all experienced this. Have you ever come across somebody that you try and speak to, but they know much better than you? And it doesn't matter if you are factually correct. It doesn't matter if you look it up in the dictionary. It doesn't matter if you Google search it and you are 100% correct. You can go ask ChatGPT, your facts, and this person comes along and goes, that's not how it works. It works like this. And then they come up with some random, and you're like, that is so far from correct. But they are 100% right. That they have to be correct. People like that exist. And unteachable. You can't teach them anything because they already know it. Can you imagine having a team of people like that? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. You will get nowhere. You couldn't build the right relationship because they know better. You couldn't ask them to do a particular role in a particular way because they know better. So being led requires skills just as much as leading. And I think that is important for leaders to know, that leaders can actually admire those skills of their team as they watch their team live out those skills of being led. And I think it's good to pinpoint and highlight, because then you're giving credit where credit is actually due. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's so true. Sorry, Sondra. It's just, I just wanted to, Peter reminded me of something is I think, and Hendrick also alluded to it, everybody, I believe, has the ability to lead, but not everybody has the desire to lead others. But the least that we can do is lead ourselves. So you get in teams, and teams that I've worked with and actually currently working with, is the one team I'm working with, extremely, they're in the scientific research industry. So you're dealing with PhDs and so on. But she's an extremely influential leader in the team. She has absolutely, and has categorically stated that she has absolutely no desire to lead others. Yet, she is a strong single contributor in that team. And they rely on her. And she's communicated that. And so now the team understands that she doesn't want to be a leader. It doesn't mean that she cannot be an influential in the team. She just doesn't, she was very honest with us. She doesn't want the responsibility of leadership or leading other people. But they don't kick her out the team, and she's extremely influential. So I think that is up to, so you can lead without having the title of leadership. You just don't carry the responsibility that the leader does. And I think that's also an important job of the leader to find out who to earmark those people and recognize them, because it can also make their job, support them in their role, and make their job a lot easier. And I think if you look at leaders, Pete, you said that, that give credit to the team, because it's a team sport. It wasn't the leader that achieved the outcomes. It was the leader and their team. So I think that's important, which comes back to, it's another famous Simon Sinek saying that says that a team is not a group of people who work together. A team is a group of people who trust each other. And I think there's a difference between a team and a group.
Very, very true, Mr. Lee. You may think my husband, he does not want to be in a leadership role, but in the same government thing, for just got his 35-year certificate, and every time he had a temporary lead, it was, I'll be honest, it was heck. The capital H. Ulcers, the whole works, because he, but he loves teaching. He just does not want to be in charge of a group. He's part of a team, and people come to him left and right, but he has no desire to be a leader in the agency. And yeah, it like totally stresses him out to the point of making him sick if he has to be the leader. So yeah, like you said, some people, that's not them, and they know that. So it's perfectly acceptable, and they go to him for lots of projects and things like that, but yeah, not as a leader. So, all right, let's bring in Mr. L and then Peter, and we have to wrap up. Time flies when we're having fun.
No, that's true, eh? No, I just wanted to repeat Mr. Levy's quote that says, leadership is a responsibility to those that lead, not for them. I'm repeating it, and because I just wanted to sink in me, to say leadership is a responsibility to those that lead, whether a teacher, whether an engineer, whether a driver, a bus driver, for that matter, but it is not for them. Thank you, Mr. Levy, for that.
I'm not too sure if Sondra has frozen or not. Oh, it looks like we've lost Sondra, and I am now currently the host. You've given me leadership. I will take it on. Awesome. I think what I'm going to do is record to the cloud. There we go, just so that we can continue from the moment that Sondra left off. I did put my hand up, and some of the things that have been coming out tonight have actually been extremely useful. And one of the things that kind of stuck out to me is, and it's something that's actually rung true, like through, it's something I firmly believe in that no matter the position or status of a person, whether they are the leader, whether they're the floor sweeper, and this is something that you spoke about earlier, Stephen, I think we've spoken about it before as well, that everyone's human. Everyone's a living being, from the person that makes tea, the person that sweeps the floor, to the person that sets up the office, to the person that functions within that office, to the person that leads in that office, we're at the end of the day, we're all people. And sometimes by being in a position of leadership, if you are not listening to those around you, you miss insights of what is happening in your space. You miss the insights, and It was a number of years ago where I got to experience something that was quite I think it kind of molded the way I see people or how I see the universe and how things work. Where I got to experience going on a trip with my father when I was extremely young and going back to where he used to work and watching the interaction between the staff and himself. He was a manager in that space, and then watching an entire factory come to a standstill because they all wanted to surround him and greet him and hug him. And and that to me was how do we achieve that? And what hit me the most was that the person that we went to go visit used to be one of his floor sweepers. And he had sent that person on an electronics course so that while they were sweeping, they could understand the value of the things that they were sweeping up and what could be saved or what could be thrown away. By the time we had gotten back to go and visit that company, that was now the production manager. So somebody that arrived in a business with the skill set to sweep, going on courses to improve them, and years later, that person is functioning within the role that my father used to function. And that to me was like it's a bit of a mind shift. So we've got to value those around us. And I think and it doesn't matter who it is. And sometimes, you could be in a boardroom and you could want something to function correctly, and the lady making tea could just say something, and you will learn. You will learn because she will see things you don't. You want the place to be streamlined? Ask the person that sweeps the floor. Ask the person that makes tea. They see things you don't. And their input is as valuable as your own. So I think that's highly, highly important. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this to a close. I think I was the last person with my hand up, and I'm just recording this so that we can slap this together with the rest of the YouTube show. Stephen, thank you so much. It's been inspiring to watch your journey, and I don't think I would have asked anyone else to come and deliver on leadership unless I'd actually experienced them for myself and actually knew that person actually lives what they preach. So to those of you that are still watching on YouTube, although this is recorded, it'll get added later, you have been extremely privileged. And to the rest of you guys, Hendrick, Permelia, Lesetja, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we will catch up with you next time, same place. And I'll leave with a famous quote from the esteemed Puerto, which is, may all of your wildest entrepreneurial dreams come true. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming, and we will catch up soon. Have fun.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Permelia.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you
Goodbye,
so much,
everybody.
Mr. Levy.
Thank you. Thank you,
Cheers,
everybody.
thank you.
Cheers, guys.
There's
I
a
need to go off
little
too.
something to show your clients, Mr. Levy.
Thank you so much for that. You're all very kind. But yeah, it was a great, good input, good discussion. It's like, that's why it's still understanding people like get so fixed on this.
No.
There's no blueprint
so
for leadership.
We're actually still live streaming, so YouTube can see us.
Okay.
Oh, that's good.